Hey everyone, Irit here with a new process video for HipKit Club. Sorry about my voice. Hopefully I can get through this video without choking. So I'm starting with a background that I created when I actually created the first layout using the February kits. So I'm using the February kits, and I show this in that other video so you can see how I made this. I used the stuff from the color kit, the stencil and the Dina Wakley yellow paint. I mixed it with some white gesso and to get that lighter shade of yellow, and then I also used the Dilutions Peony Blush ink spray to create this background. And I'm just going to use this as a base for this layout. So I also had the butterflies left over from another layout that I created, which you can also find on my channel. And so this is like the leftover layout. And because I allowed myself some more time to work on it, I mean, I started working on it at the beginning of March, and this project is due, I mean, it will go live on the 19th. So it gave me some time to really play with it. You know, usually I finish my layouts in one, maximum 2 sittings. And this one was a project that I just work in little just little time bits. I don't know. Worked at it a little bit at a time for quite a few days until it looked the way I wanted. So I'm also adding the Cracked Pistachio Distress Oxide, which I lightened and watered down a little bit with some white ink spray from my stash. So this is a dilution spray. You can just add a little bit of white paint and some water to get the same effect. So you don't need to have this, but I wanted a lighter color, and I also wanted some white. And again, I'm using the Dilutions white spray, and that's from my stash. So I'm just building the layers, and I'm using some packaging. You could also use a brush, but I hate using brushes. I hate washing them. So I try to avoid it as much as possible. And I just decided, you know, I wasn't loving it. And I really wanted to love it. And I think my issue was, at this point, that the butterflies were, I mean, I know they're light and they seem very light now on the screen, but I don't know, they seem to me kind of dark and not interesting enough. I mean, I have all this texture and interesting shape in the backgrounds, and then the butterflies felt very papery to me. And that's not a bad thing, but I don't know, somehow I wasn't feeling it. So I decided to add some more paint. And again, I'm mixing the paint we got in the color kit, the Dina Wakley lemon paint, with some heavy gesso from my stash to get a lighter shade. And I'm smearing it on the butterflies. And you can also use the stencil. I did that on the bottom butterfly, and also now I'm doing this again. And you'll get a nice pattern. So you can use obviously any stencil you have, and it's just another way of adding some interesting shapes to your butterflies. And I'm adding some more of that paint to my background. As I said, this took me some days to get to the place where I was happy with it, and that's okay, you know. I mean, I guess most of you watching, you know, you don't have deadlines, so you can take your time. And I think with mixed media, many times, sorry, you go through a bit of a ugly, awkward teenager phase where things just don't look right, and you should keep going. If you're not happy with what you have, then I don't see the risk of, you know, trying something else or adding something to it. It's not like you're messing with something that you love. You're not so excited about it. So I think it's worth the risk. I let everything dry and then I came back to it again, and I think I decided I just want some more pink. I think my issue was, you know, the papers that I used to cut the butterflies, they're lovely, and I used the same paper for my previous layout where I cut some flowers, and I used those flowers and it looked great, but somehow here with the background, with all those very light colors that I had going on, I wasn't in love with these with the colors of the paper of the butterflies. It's just that I had a different color palette on my background, and yeah, again, it's like, for me it's worth to risk it and try something and cover them with some more paint, and I just decided I wanted some more pink, and I'm just trying to cover a lot of the original color of these butterflies, just to reach that feel that I'm after. And I kind of want these candy colors, I guess, and the papers were just a little bit too muted for that. So to get some pink paint, of course you can use any pink paint you have in your stash, but I mixed some of the Dilutions Mist with some gesso to get a lighter shade, and I think that's a really great way of stretching your supplies, especially with ink sprays. I love ink sprays. They're so easy to use and so versatile. You know, you can use them like watercolors, you can add them to white paint or gesso and basically create whichever color you want. So yeah, I love me some mists. I have a total addiction to that. So I'm also showing you, I kept this in the video so you'll see what I do when I have some leftover paint. Nothing goes to waste. You can create more backgrounds if you want, but for me the best place to use all these leftover paints is in my art journal. And actually this particular background, which is kind of a whole lot of nothing going on there in my art journal, I turn into a finished art journal spread over on my Patreon. So yes, very elegant segue to my Patreon. But if you're interested in art journaling, I have a lot of really great videos, if I do say so myself, in March, and of creating different elements for my art journal, and then eventually everything comes together. So check that out. The link is in the description box. Okay, at this point I think I was happy with what I had going on. I like the colors, and of course the texture is amazing. You know, there's like a lot of dimension here. And I wanted to mat it on some pattern paper, and I can't really remember which one I end up choosing, but I think I went with something lighter. I think I liked how it looked on the lighter pattern than any of the colors. So just to keep it very light and airy like it is. So I decided to go with this, I think this is Pink Fresh Studio paper, and I'm just going to add some lots of adhesive and mount it on my background, and that gives it a nice frame and also helps to keep it flat. Now I'm using the Basil Marshmallow cardstock, which is very thick, so it really can handle a lot of paint and stuff, even though I didn't use a lot of like very wet media here. Most of it was paint and heavy gesso, but still the paper took it wonderfully and didn't buckle and nothing like that. So I admit, while I was playing with this, I didn't know if I wanted to like which photo I was going to add. It started kind of as a playtime, and then eventually I decided that it will be a layout. So I'm just looking now for a photo. I didn't feel like printing anything. I felt like using a photo that I already have. And what I end up using is a photo that I took, I think it was a year and a half ago. Actually, it's a collage of 4 photos from, it was a mini vacation in a vacation, you can say. So we were all visiting Israel, my family in Israel, in the summer of 2016. And during that visit, we left Lily, who was, how old was she? I think 8 months or something like that. We left her with my parents for a couple of days, and we took Ella to a hotel in Tel Aviv. And it was quite a fancy hotel, I have to say. It was a real treat because we don't usually tend to go to fancy hotels. But I was also thinking about using this photo, and I love this photo and I will use it, but it just didn't, I just felt that it didn't have the right vibe to it to go with this background. So I end up using the very light and summery photo collage that you see there on the left side. So it's just a selection of a few photos that I took while we were on this little mini break, and you can see there's a glimpse of our breakfast and some coffee and the beach in Tel Aviv. And I have to say that I'm giggling because I think my husband can't hear this anymore, but I love the Israeli breakfast, and I think I spoke about this on this channel like years ago in some old video, but the Israeli breakfast, like the ones that you can find in coffee shops in Israel and in coffee houses, they are so good. There's a huge selection of things, and it's just such a treat. Every time I visit, I try to have at least one Israeli breakfast in a coffee place. There's lots of options, and they usually, you can, they have like, I don't know, a lot of places have like, I don't know, Norwegian breakfast with like smoked salmon and cream cheese and that sort of thing. But I would say the traditional Israeli breakfast is you would have a salad. I know for some people it's like really weird, but Israelis are crazy about salads, and we eat it with every meal, and we love it. And it's a must also for any respectable Israeli breakfast. Usually there are some sort of eggs, which probably now in my visit I won't be having because I don't eat any more animal products. And then there's some freshly baked bread and lots of different spreads that you can add, and then, some cookies or some sort of like yogurt and granola for dessert. It's also super easy to find vegan options in Israeli coffee shops, and it's just, the food is great, and there's like such a great variety, lots of fresh stuff, lots of vegetables. It's fantastic, and I don't want to insult my fellow Austrians, but you can learn a thing or two, and my husband doesn't watch, so he won't be upset. But, I don't think that if someone introduced this to Austrian cafes, people wouldn't like it, because how can you not like such wonderful breakfasts? But it's just the traditional breakfast here is very different. It's more like a continental breakfast, and usually in coffee shops you'll find a selection of, some bread, some sliced cheese, like yellow hard cheese, some ham, or something like ham, and eggs in a variety of sources with like in a variety of sources, in a variety of like you can have them scrambled or in a glass or whatever. Lots and lots of animal products, and usually of small garnish of a vegetable. So It's just, and everything is good. I mean, now I don't eat that stuff, but when I did, it's all very good. It's just a little boring for me. And yeah, I would much rather have all those fresh salads and spreads and that sort of thing. So yeah. The rest of the layout was very simple. I just added some embellishments, and that's kind of it. We're soon done here. I love these Amy Tan colorful thickers. They're fantastic. And I used the Good Times. I thought the green would be a nice accent color here. So write me what your favorite breakfast is. And that's my finished layout. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a wonderful day. Bye.